He's got a lot of ground to cover.
Sounds like it.
What were you hunting for?
Antelope.
Lucky dog.
Yeah. Lucky when you can get close to him.
Yeah, it takes a certain talent.
Did you say antelope?
Antelope,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a little bit better sport. Well, I think it's more, it's tougher to get an antelope right than a deer.
Yeah.
Deer will stare at you and look at you and look like a deer.
Yes.
Antelope, they're gonna run.
Yeah.
They'll see from a mile and a half out.
Yeah, it's a long shot.
File, sir.
Got 'em in my
You can
sights.
eat a cantaloupe,
Now
you
these
can hunt
swing
an
my
antelope.
gun.
But why is a lady named Penelope and not Pello?
Riddle me this.
No wonder.
Maybe other areas of the world pronounce it antelope.
I would hope so, yeah.
You would think, you know.
Didn't work at the bar.
Sounds like a new FSD I need to pick up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everybody. Nate, any additions to the agenda this evening?
One requested change, Mayor, I'd like to delete item 5.2, personnel policies. We'll try and cover that at the next meeting instead.
Okay, so Nate's asking for 5.2 personnel policy to come off the agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
Making your job tough tonight, Tyson. All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. On to visitors to be heard this evening. Any visitors to be heard, come to the podium. State your name and address and share.
Brandy Nordman, and I'm 904 South Elm Street here in Lennox. So I'm just here on the for the commercial club. Basically, just want to thank you for the support that you gave with my Park Drive After 5 events that I set up, and we are in the process of planning our 2026 events. We're hoping to have 5 of them set up. Starting from May to September, so we're kind of working on finalizing, trying to make it bigger, more things, more events, different themes each activity or each time that we meet. Trying to get some music, different things like that going. So just hopefully we can have your support going forward, and we just wanted to thank you, for helping bring the event to life. So.
Thanks for what you're doing to invigorate the community. It's
Yeah,
fun to see
it's been
everyone
a
out
lot
and
of
about.
fun,
Yeah.
seeing that come to life, a little vision, so.
Yeah, Touch a Truck was amazing.
Yeah.
All 3 of them were awesome.
Yeah. We're looking at trying to set up like a barbecue cook-off,
Ooh, fun.
or a chili, maybe in September, we could do that and do like a chili cook-off, something like that, trying to change it up a little bit, adding some different music groups, things like that to come perform, trying to get a little head start now with school, getting some different like sports activities and groups and school groups, things like that, if they want to come do, donation booths, things like that, to get them different activities, funded, or, just, we're brainstorming.
Yep.
We got a little committee together now to try to help me with all the planning and stuff like that, so I think it's gonna be a good deal.
Nice work putting
Yeah.
those plans in
Yeah.
action.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your time and energy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing that there are no more visitors, let's move on to the consent agenda. Nate, anything you'd like to draw attention to with the consent agenda?
A couple items, Mayor. First thing on there is a grant for the community forestry grant. This is a grant we applied for 2 years ago. Funded the replacement of 24 trees in Westerman Park that were planted with the help of Lennox Citizens Academy that year. I would like to apply again, focusing on West Evergreen Park this time. Probably be a few trees here and there at Westerman yet, but for the most part we need to reestablish some greenery at West Evergreen, considering that the last evergreen tree for which it was named is now mostly dead. On top of that, we got job descriptions. I won't read through the whole memo. I assume most of you have had a chance to do that. But this work comes out of the Finance Committee's work back in, I think it was early August, to update job wage ranges for each of the job descriptions. The one that we did not touch was the city administrator job description, so I'll leave it to you if you wanted to decide later on to change anything there. Right now, all it says is determined by council, which I think covers it sufficiently. Last but not least, there's a special event permit in there for the Lions Club Gobble Wobble, which is an event in which I certainly won't be participating, but I'm certainly supportive of. No real concerns from the fire, police, or EMS community, and we've got the certificate, insurance, everything we need for that one.
All right, discussion, questions, comments from council?
Thanks for the work you guys have been doing on putting together the budget. I know that's department heads, everyone's involved in that, and it's nice to see it coming together. Fun time to review and see where we need to modify and move forward. But thanks for getting that rolling.
Yeah, it's, no budget's easy, but it is, maybe Tyson enjoys it too, but I enjoy the budgets. Because it tells us what we're going to be doing in the next year. It's a plan, and those kinds of things are, they tell a story about what we wish to accomplish in the next year, so.
I'm excited to see conversations continue with the Cooper land south of Wilson Trailer. That's, as we've noted in our comprehensive plan, that's an area we'd like to find expansion into, and it fits well with where we are as a city.
Also nice to see our portion of the expansion, Lewis and Clark Regional Water System, 33% less.
Yes,
That's nice.
that is, that was a very welcome news and a great way to end the week, quite frankly,
For
to
sure.
find out that our portion is now under 900,000 left. So that's, again, we'll be looking at a funding resolution for that probably in November, be an interfund loan from the sewer fund, but for far less than we anticipated, so.
Yeah, great news.
Any other discussion, questions at all from council?
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll do roll call this evening. Swear.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Doherty.
Aye.
Teasy.
Aye.
Andrew.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. On to 4, old business, bike and scooter safety program. Start with Will.
Mayor and council, just wanted to give you some update, kind of the progress that we've made on this. Had a couple positive meetings with the school so far. I think everything's went really well. The school has jumped in both feet first to help support that and to help organize that. We had a lot of good discussion in the sense of getting some kind of tentative idea on where we're gonna go with it and how we're gonna proceed forward. We meet again in February. We don't have the exact date on that yet, but it's gonna be sometime in the beginning or mid-February to get things more hammered down for dates. By then, I'm hoping to have talked to as many people as I can as far as funding source for it. One of the things that we discussed in that meeting was the school is gonna put out towards their parents that we were going to be holding this spring and possibly looking for some help from the parents. They're going to put together some kind of pamphlet brochure to send out to the kiddos, get them to the parents. It's gonna have a QR code onto it. Hopefully we can set up an account. Nobody really has to manage it besides it's set up and it's gonna be taken care of. My ultimate goal with this is to hope like the community will support this and it gains its own legs and we don't have to talk about it every year, how we're gonna fund these bikes, how we're gonna get this program, keep it going. I think it's a good program, the school feels the same way. So I think we're making some pretty good progress so far.
That's exciting.
It looks like 500 kids is what we're anticipating.
Wow.
30-some bikes is what
Wow.
we're shooting for. So it's exciting.
So you give those bikes out
Yes.
then? Okay. And then what other expenses will you have, helmets or?
Yes, our intention is to do, I'm going to try to find somebody that knows a lot about bikes, or a decent amount about bikes, that can set up, if you bring your bike down to this event, they can take a quick glance over it, make sure everything looks like it's functioning properly. And if something isn't functioning, maybe they can help adjust it, maybe they can help fix that. Helmets, I'm gonna reach out to the state, I still have not done that yet. The state did provide us some helmets for the first one we did. We do have some still left over, but for 500 students, we do not have nearly enough. We'll try to give out as many as that we can possibly come up with. That is ultimately our goal, is to make sure these kids are safe, whether they have a bike currently or whether they get one, in the summertime. Helmet's always gonna be my #1 priority for these kiddos. Second, we're gonna work with the streets department. I don't know that we're going to need it, but some of the guys and I were talking about, we're gonna probably try to use one of our intersections so that we can give real world
Good.
scenario for these kiddos. And I think that's gonna be a positive event for some of these little youngsters that are used to just, with their parents always guiding their way. Well, we're gonna try to back the parent off and let the kiddo make some of the good decisions. Hopefully we can have enough staff from the school, which it sounds like they're more than supportive, so I'm not too fearful of that. We're gonna break them up into flights, have X amount of kids out certain times, do stages with them. We're gonna have some real world scenarios out there for them. We're gonna have all of my officers that we can possibly get out there. And we'll do a presentation prior with, like, in a gymnasium setting. And hopefully be able to reach not only the kiddos, but the parents. Love to see the parents out there.
Yeah.
That would be huge help to us. So,
Yeah, thank you. The one thing too, and I'm sure you're putting energy into this, or will be, especially coming up after the year, but just the concern with that this isn't bicycles, but the scooter, because just the influx of scooters that were out on the streets. But I think there's also confusion in the city on, for even kids, like, do I ride on the sidewalk? Do I ride on the street? What should I do?
Right.
Some adult might yell at this teenager and say, get off the road, or,
Right.
so just clarification on that kind of thing, I think is gonna be really good and informative.
Mhm.
And not just for these, young kids, but for the parents too, so.
In my talks with the school, they did notice the similar events these kids
Yeah.
got in, and there was another event that was brought to my attention where the kid actually passed a car on one of those scooters. So, they-
Yeah.
a lot of people are seeing it. We will focus on that and
Yeah.
try to give them all the information that they need.
Yeah.
So,
Are we going to hand out certificates to those that attend, that they'll have a little piece of paper that says they're safety certified with your PD logo? That's awesome.
that sounds like a brilliant idea, and I think I'll look right into that, because I have seen larger municipalities that have done that exact thing, but they also have bike school in the summertime.
Yeah.
If you get caught by local PD, you have to go to somebody
I could
else's
drive
bike.
that.
So, so yes, that is actually a really good idea. I had not thought of that. My mind is still in the setting it all up, but thank you for that.
You bet.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good progress.
Thanks, Will. You bet. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
It's possible I may need to go to bike school.
I don't know why.
Never too old.
Should you ride a bike with a dog on a leash?
Is that
Some
how
people
you felt?
can't.
You'll be in the first flight.
Sort of.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I
You'll
never
be in the
asked.
first flight.
That's right. What not to do.
It'll be at the head of the list.
Alright, there's no action step on that agenda item, so we'll move on to new business 5.1, the Lincoln County Regional Wastewater Discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. Won't read through the whole memo here, but this is a rather old project that's being revived. It started about 20 years ago with Lennox, Worthing, Canton, and Harrisburg. They had talked about a regional wastewater system. That didn't get off the ground, and now Lennox is kind of on their own in terms of communities that have a Class 3 wastewater facility. Our capacity is about 650,000 gallons per day, which will match our treatment capacity with Lewis and Clark once we reach that expansion that we were just talking about. So I included a brochure about this conceptual system in your packet. Sioux Metro Growth Alliance kind of resurrected a few years ago and has really been moving forward with. It's similar to the system that Hartford, I think Humboldt was a part of it, Crooks and Coleman, if I remember right, are all part of a regional system that's gotten significant federal funding in the past couple of years. And so we're trying to mirror that in Lincoln County for these communities. We've been listed as a potential member of the project, and tonight I just want to get some discussion going on whether or not we're interested in joining that effort formally. My recommendation is that we don't need to join that formally. I did have a conversation with Tyler Tortzen this afternoon from Sioux Metro Growth Alliance, asking if we would consider at least sending our own letter of support, basically stating that we do believe this is worthwhile to examine and consider, even if we're not necessarily a part of it, just to better improve their odds and chances for securing that funding. So some points to consider. We're the only community on that list that already has their own treatment facility. Worthing and Canton have lagoons, and South Lincoln Rural Water, who is also a member of this system, doesn't have anything at this point. Such a system would benefit those communities to a great degree. It's also safe to assume that expanding our existing plant when needed would be more economical than building a whole new plant even elsewhere. We have a fair amount of treatment capacity right now. If you remember from when we had discussion on the prison about this time last year, that was one of our larger concerns. And even serving the prison, we figured we'd have about 20 years of expanded residential growth before we need to expand that plant again. Now that being said, it only takes one big industrial user to eat all of that up. Now my assumption is that if we have that industrial user that's looking to come here, and we're going to need to expand that plant to help them out and serve them, they'll definitely be a part of that funding package. That's pretty typical in these kinds of discussions. So in general, I've always been pretty supportive of efforts to regionalize utilities. Lewis and Clark is a great example of that, along with Dakota Main Stem. Wastewater isn't really one of those areas that I'm particularly concerned about our capacity, just because we do have that room. Again, I'd like some discussion on this tonight, just to get everybody's thoughts and opinions on it. And if you're so inclined, I wouldn't mind writing a letter of support, just stating that, even if we're not formally a member of this consortium or regional effort, we do support the efforts to look into this and find out if it's feasible.
I'm glad that we took matters in our own hands as a community and built a Class 3 wastewater treatment facility, and that we aren't reliant on another group like this coming in to kind of bail us out as we grow. And conversely, that I'm not excited about jumping in and spending more money in a regionalized system. Support would be in words only, not financial.
Not financial.
Right? And I think it makes sense for those communities that don't have a Class 3 wastewater treatment facility to really look deeply into this option for them as a consortium. But again, I don't see how we fit in today. Like you said, it'll take a giant industrial presence here to require the amount of water processing that we've got available, and it doesn't appear to be an issue.
The RFPs we're seeing are so large that we wouldn't even, I don't know how we would even consider treating them. Like, we have neither the water capacity nor the wastewater capacity, and only 2 systems in the state do have that size of capacity. That doesn't mean that we won't see smaller ones that are more in our wheelhouse. If we were to see something that was similar to Wilson or Sioux Steel, they aren't big users. They're industrial users, which means they need to be monitored a little bit more closely. But in terms of capacity, it's not really a concern for us. Yeah, you get a meat plant, a cheese plant, those kinds of things, that would be a game changer.
Like Baby Bell up in Brookings, you're saying?
Yeah, Valley Queen was a big one up in Millbank. Jack Links over in
Okay.
Alpena. Those are big users. You know, when you think of food in particular, that's when you're gonna see a lot more of that.
Sure.
Do we have any sense for what the Hartford got for federal funding or
23 million, I believe.
out of how big a project?
I think it was close to 30. It was Hartford, it was Crooks, and I think the third one was Coleman. Humboldt was a member initially, but then opted out.
And we're looking at 66 million here.
Well,
I'm
that's
just
a
trying to
very
sense-
early
Since
conceptual
like,
number.
they got it broken down by like 0, 25, 50, 75% funding, makes a dramatic increase, or dramatic impact on the overall cost. I agree, I don't think we wanna be spending much or any money now, but is there any, do we wanna stay in communication on this, in the fact that, hey, like, is there options we can get in later, is there any sort of backup plan that we want to at least keep on as an option? I don't know. I think we have other options we can pursue if it ever gets to that point, but.
Yeah. You know, we often hear of those communities that wish they had said yes to regionalization.
I mean, we're doing a similar thing right now with water. Like, we have enough water, but we know that water's a scarce,
Yep.
resource that, down the road, we're gonna probably need now.
And we've also hedged our bets a bit.
Right, we have. Now, I think there's other options we can do with wastewater, but I don't know if we wanna just completely throw this out. I don't know.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I talked with Tyler about, is just making sure that we're still in the mix.
Right.
Just in terms of, if nothing else, just making sure we bring some more knowledge and perspective to the table. But I think a frank discussion about, yes, we'll write this letter of support, but we need to know, is there a cutoff time where you need to know whether we're in or out?
That's where I'm at. Like, I don't think we wanna, like, right now, we're out.
Right.
But,
Is there an option to join?
right, is there almost like, an option?
It's worth the discussion.
My guess is yes, the
But
question is what price, right?
Right, and then we're on our own as far as running to hook up to wherever that line's running.
Right, it reminds me of, in Lewis and Clark's story, there, Sioux Falls, after, I can't remember exactly how this went, but after pipe was in the ground, requested additional capacity and had to pay for the upsizing on their own and running for additional service connections, so on and so forth. And they still do that today. We just approved, last year, a new service connection on West 12th, for Lewis and Clark to Sioux Falls. That's on Sioux Falls' dime, because it doesn't impact the rest of the system. It's just their way of drawing their reserve capacity. My gut says if we join at a certain point too late, and they have capacity for us, yeah, we'd be on our own for building at least to Worthing, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say, we're the most northern and western point in all these towns that are listed.
Mm-hmm.
So then I know it's preliminary, but I was just curious, like, where is the system going to be built? Is it? Oh,
The
it's
wastewater treatment plant would be Canton.
Okay.
And there's a couple, two main reasons for that, without having discussed it specifically with them. Number one is that's the furthest downstream in elevation. So you can't, a system of this size, you can't gravity everything. You've got to put it under pressure at some point with the lift station. Similar to how we were talking with the prison. Now, that was moving it back uphill a little bit. This is moving it overall in the right direction. The other side of that is you've got a favorable discharge point in the Big Sioux River. Your discharge limits are probably going to be they could be a little bit more favorable. That's one of the arguments.
Sure.
So I'm not sure this question fits, but I'm gonna ask it. If we did join something like this down the road, what does it do for locale?
It just adds to it. I wouldn't, yeah, we'd have to use both. You know, you look at the treatment capacity on here, 336 gallons a day, 336,000 gallons a day. That's essentially one of our treatment basins. You've been out to the plant, the wastewater plant, we've got those 2 treatment basins. You're essentially adding 1 new treatment basin. So we keep that going. You know, we'd probably have a secondary connection that runs to this regional system. And we would make that, you know, the farthest south that we could make it here in town. Probably somewhere along Highway 44.
How much growth would it take to need?
Need to
That-
expand?
More
Yeah.
than double.
Yeah.
220 a day.
It's assuming no industrial growth whatsoever, we could probably be close to 3 times our current size without needing to expand that plant. That's a rough estimate. I mean, there's certain days where we would be over the design flow, which is where those equalization, those emergency storage ponds would come into play. Until we have, I mean, you're not going to eliminate all infiltration into the system. So even if we're like on a regular day, let's say we're selling 130,000 gallons of water a day. That's how much is going through people's meters. We will have, assuming we're not irrigating, we'll have 150,000 come to the plant because we have groundwater intrusion or some pumps that are draining into the sanitary system and so on and so forth.
So figuratively, if we take into account the recent study, what timeline would we want to look at for projections if we did need to join up?
I would bet if, I mean, again, assuming no major industrial growth,
Right,
you're probably looking at least 40 years out.
40? And that was a 30-year study, correct?
The housing study,
Yes.
I think they only went 10.
Is it 10?
Am I remembering that right? I think the population projection
Yeah,
went
I
10.
think you're at 35. So.
Yeah. But when we were looking at the most recent far outlook we did was when we were having discussions with the Department of Corrections on the sewer connection
Right.
for the prison. And that just assumed with the prison's use, which I think was 250,000 a day.
Yeah,
Does that sound right? Which essentially is a little bit double, a little more than double what we currently use as a residential and industrial community. We'd still have capacity to serve population growth for 20 years. So even if we were to get a large industrial user of 250,000 gallons a day, we'd still be looking 20 years.
20 years out.
Yeah. Give or take.
Estimate.
And that was at a 3% growth rate, which is the most aggressive growth rate we've had in the last 5 years, and by far the most aggressive rate we've had in the last 20 years.
Thank you, I just don't have it pulled up in front of me.
But I think in your memo too, I mean, we have room to expand current wastewater treatment plants, so the money that we could put towards this could be allocated just to our own plants.
Yeah, I mean, you look
Far
at,
ahead.
let's say we're funded at the 50% level,
Right.
we still gotta come up with $6 million. Which we can do,
Right.
but
But,
we kinda have, but, I mean,
that's a lot.
what if it's only $4 million to add an SBR basin?
Right, and we're already staffing our own class 3 plant. And,
Correct.
you know, we have more control over what happens at our plant than what we would at, you know,
Yes,
so there's something to be said about owning it and running it yourselves. I'm with Chad, I don't wanna like completely close the door, but I don't wanna support it financially at this time, and I think if we can just verbally support them so that these other communities get the answers they need to make a decision, that's where I would go.
Agreed.
yeah. No, I appreciate that, I think, you know, we've talked often about, we are a region that benefits from each other. What's good for Worthing is often good for us, even if we don't directly benefit from it. And so I appreciate that, that direction, if that's what I'm getting. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. On to, be actually 5-2 then, Central Basin 4 project change order.
Mayor and council, I apologize, Mitch wasn't able to make it tonight, he's had some, family, issues tonight that he couldn't make it down for, but, fairly familiar with this, change order number 5 on Central Basin 4 project. There's gonna be a change order of a net amount of $41,748. So next week, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad is supposed to be here to, widen the crossing at Elm Street, they're supposed to be here this week.
I was gonna say, I thought we heard this a few weeks ago.
Yes, I will continue to not hold my breath on this, lest I pass out quite frequently. So the net effect here is that we're gonna have to bring ASCO back to mobilize their equipment to tie everything in. And that's gonna take some money. And so that's what you're seeing here, that's what the change order is for. The bulk of this is mobilization, of course, because they gotta get all their equipment back down here. And then outside of that, it's just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff along with traffic control and asphalt. So a change order I'd rather not have to do. I prefer that Burlington Northern, when we told them about this project 3 years ago, took it seriously and decided to show up when we needed them. It's not what happened. Talking with Mitch today at our engineering meeting, Danny was there as well. We're pretty certain this is what's going to happen in all future projects with Burlington Northern. Don't think we bank on them.
So we don't have any recourse with them for them to cover some of this?
No, we've got, in fact, we have to pay for the crossing, remember, so.
Well, I guess it's a good thing there's only like 3 streets that cross a railroad in this town.
Correct. Yeah, I'm as bad as the Cherry Street crossing needs to be improved, I'm kind of afraid to ask.
Yep, that's too bad.
Thankfully, we are well under our budget on the Central Basin 4 project. We do have plenty of room for this, and I see no real challenges with it.
Any discussion? I'll look for a motion to approve the change order number 5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, roll call of this. Nate, or not?
No.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries.
Motion to enter executive session for the sole purpose of discussing the qualifications, can't read it, competence, performance, character, or fitness of any public officer or employee, of prospective public officer or employee. That's a mouthful.
And I apologize, I'm seeing now I didn't cite the specific state code, so SDCL 1-25-2 sub 1.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and now declare us in executive session at 7:31 PM.
Good night, everybody.
It's a lot easier to read on that.
Yeah.